Hello everybody, it's Colvin Krause here. Just wanting to go over this new form, the Disclosure of Representation in Trading Services. So this is a new form that was put out by the Real Estate Council of British Columbia with the idea of consumer protection in mind. So why are you getting this form? Well, a real estate professional is required to give you this form before working with you and must explain it to you. So every real estate professional in BC must go over this form with you. Now, the only way that this might not be applicable is if you were working with a realtor before this came into effect and you had already filled out a working with a realtor brochure. However, as a real estate professional myself, I would still have this form done with previous clients. So what's the main purpose of this form? Well, as I understand it, the main purpose of this form is to describe and define the difference between a client or a represented party and an unrepresented party and how that affects you as the consumer and the relationship with the real estate professional. Well, I've scrolled down a little bit on the form here and we can see what they're describing as the benefits of representation. So the benefits are as follow: expert advice. In BC, licensed real estate professionals receive specialized training. That's true. We've all gone through our courses and we continue to take updating courses in order to maintain our license. Protection. Real estate professionals in BC are licensed under the Real Estate Services Act. It is legislation designed to protect the rights of consumers. So there is legislative oversight as to how we operate as professionals. Speaking of oversight, the Real Estate Council of BC works to ensure real estate professionals are competent and knowledgeable. So again, that goes back to the training that we have to do to maintain our license. And if you have a concern about a real estate professional, you can file a complaint by visiting the website www.recbc.ca, where they will investigate and discipline individuals for professional misconduct. So this is what the next page looks like. What to expect as a client versus what to expect as an unrepresented party. On the left-hand side here, we have client or represented party. So what this means, quickly scroll up. When you become a client of a real estate professional, they owe you special legal duties as your agent. Right? So legally, we owe you loyalty. We owe you that we are going to avoid conflicts of interest. We must fully disclose all relevant information to you. So a quick example of this, if we're out looking at properties and you decide that you really like this one, and through the due diligence I find out that it's a less than scrupulous developer, I need to disclose that to you. Now, as a professional, I would do that anyway, but we actually legally owe you the duty to do that, to disclose anything that might impact the way that you feel about it, whether it's an unreputable school, unreputable neighbors, that there was a forest fire nearby recently, anything that might impact your buying decision. Protecting your confidentiality. They must not reveal your private information without your permission, such as your reasons for buying, selling, leasing, renting, or investing, the minimum maximum price you are seeking, any preferred terms and conditions you may want to include in a contract. So again, jumping back up, that's only without your permission. So with your permission, if it would be beneficial for your purposes of buying, selling, leasing, or renting the real estate, then we might get that information from you and then use that in the negotiation process. And on the right hand side here we have what we owe you as an unrepresented party, which is nothing. We don't owe you any loyalty. We don't owe you any duty to avoid conflicts. We don't owe you any full disclosure. So the real estate professionals involved in the transaction do not have a duty to give you all relevant information. So if we have an idea of something about the property that might negatively impact why you would buy it, we don't have to tell you that. And no confidentiality. The way that I've heard this summed up is when you walk into an open house and the open house is being represented by the seller's agent, right? So they have agency, and limited dual agency isn't allowed anymore. So we cannot represent you as the buyer. So a really good way to have it framed in mind is anything that you say or do can and will be used against you by that agent if you choose to buy the home as an unrepresented party, or even if you are represented and now they know information about you. So your options as a client. So in BC, there's typically going to be designated agency or brokerage agency. So for me, in Victoria, with my brokerage, we do designated agency. So your real estate professional will represent you as a designated agent and only your designated agent will owe you the legal duties explained above. Your agent must not share your confidential information with others at the brokerage without your permission. So that being said, there will be members at the brokerage, such as the conveyancing department, that will be privy to your information just by having to go through the contract process. Also, example, myself, I'm part of a real estate team. So the people on my team are considered one entity with me. That's the way the government looks at it. So again, going back to the example of a limited dual agency, I can't represent a buyer if someone on my team is representing the seller, because again, the government views us as one entity. So as such, designated agency will be for the agent that you are working with specifically and the members of their team. So this is what the beginning of the next page looks like. Instructions. Consumers, please complete the optional fields below to indicate that you received this consumer protection information. So they're asking you really nicely to do something that you don't have to do, right? They're optional fields. You as the consumer do not have to fill them out if you don't want to. It would greatly help the real estate professional that you are working with if you do, but again, you don't have to do it. The person that does have to fill this out would be someone like myself, the real estate professional. Complete and sign to indicate you've provided this disclosure to the real estate consumer. Promptly submit this form to your brokerage. So they're really cracking down on this, which again is good for consumer protection. This is the section of the form that the real estate professional, such as myself, needs to fill out. So I need to check off, I confirm that I have provided the consumer with the disclosure of representation and trading services form. I have explained the special legal duties owed by a real estate professional to their client, and I have also explained the risks of being an unrepresented party in a real estate transaction. And then I need to confirm how I will be treating you. So will I represent the consumer, yourself, as my client under designated agency or as my client under brokerage agency, or will I be dealing with you as an unrepresented party? And then I put my name, and if I'm on a team, I'm going to put my team members' names, my brokerage, signature date, and notes, any circumstances that's going to help them to prove to their brokerage that they met with you and they actually went over this form. The last page of this form looks like this. So this is the optional consumer confirmation. So as you can see, you can tick the boxes, I confirm that the real estate professional disclosed the special legal duties owed to clients. You can confirm that the real estate professional disclosed the difference between a client and an unrepresented party. And then you can also confirm that the real estate professional disclosed the risks of being an unrepresented party. And then you can choose how you will be treating that relationship. So as a client in designated agency, as a client in brokerage agency, or as an unrepresented party. And then the same as the real estate professional, you'd put your name, signature, date. If there's more than one of you, such as a couple, then it's going to be both of you. There's not really a spot for notes, but I guess you could scribble it underneath if you want. So that is the disclosure of representation in trading services form. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it. If you have any questions or concerns, feel free to reach out to me. I can send you a copy of this form for you to review as well, or reach out to your local real estate professional and they'll answer any questions that you have. Thanks so much for your time. Take care. Bye-bye.